Hello, my fellow nitwits. This is your old pal, Lorax. I created this video for you as a tutorial, an introduction, how to use CalTopo. It's not mandatory to watch. It's just my hope that this tutorial will help teach you a few things about CalTopo so that you can use the tool in creating your own maps for Niwots Challenge. If you're going to watch it, awesome. Thanks so much for doing so. It's been uploaded to YouTube. I'm pretty sure there's a way for you to adjust the speed of the video so that you can speed me up and speed it along if you would like. I certainly welcome that. So
That would be an amazing thing if that happened.
all right, let's talk about it. Niwots and CalTopo. First, what is CalTopo? CalTopo is a powerful mapping tool that you can access via web browser. And what I'm going to show you today is by accessing it through a web browser because I believe that's the easiest way to use it. You can also download the CalTopo app and access it through the application, which is available on whatever smartphone that you may have. But CalTopo is used by a lot of folks because of its accuracy. Accuracy of road and trail data, accuracy of the different map layers that they have. Also because of the available layers that they have on the platform, and also the amount of personalization that you can use. Now, CalTopo stands for California Topography. This CalTopo is created by search and rescue teams in California, in the San Francisco Bay Area, Silicon Valley area, of course. Most of these folks do search and rescue and recreate around Mount Tam, if you're familiar with the Marin Headlands north of Golden Gate Bridge. They're great folks. I've had a lot of conversations with them about their software, about how to use it for live tracking and all kinds of other things. So they're great folks, kind of related to Cal Fire, which is the main firefighting folks out there in California, Cal Fire. And a lot of what they've designed this mapping software for is for search and rescue and wildland fire agencies. And a few years ago, I kind of approached them about doing some live tracking with us and showing them how there's a lot more than just search and rescue and firefighting folks using this map, and just kind of gave them a full picture. And now it's definitely a more robust platform, and it always has been for trail and ultra running. I didn't reinvent the wheel, or I'm sure there's some things I told them that they didn't already know, and there's things I told them that obviously they didn't know. But at any rate, Niwots is entirely mapped on CalTopo. The tribal council, they have access to a master map, and that master map has the location of every single waypoint on it. It also has digitized version of every place on the course. Like, we keep talking about place names like Raleigh Peak or the Chair Rocks Express or Spoof Rock and the Holy Cairn and Drew's Neighborhood. And all of those things are mapped on our master map. And when you get maps for the event, and as the week of approaches, you're going to get some maps that show you exactly where all of these places are. And those places are going to be represented on the map in a variety of different ways, like with polygons to show you the whole area that is the Three Stooges, or in just waypoints to show you where Mo is, or Hamburger Rock, things like that. So all of Niwots is entirely mapped on CalTopo. I create the course using CalTopo, and I'm actually going to show you in this tutorial how I do that. You're going to learn some of the secrets behind how the course is created so that you understand the course visually and mentally a lot better. That's a huge part of this tutorial as well. So this tutorial is not only to help you understand Niwots a little bit better and how the course is created and why it's built the way that it is, but it's also here to guide you in the use of this tool for the creation of your own maps. Now let's talk about that for a moment, creating your own maps. I ran the Barkley in 2010, and I don't know if it's changed, but back then The way that it worked was you would, on your way into the state park, Frozen Head State Park, you would stop at the visitor center, go inside, and buy a map of the state park. And you would take that map, and then you would drive up into camp and check in with Laz and become an entrant in the Barkley. You get your bib, you get your stuff. And then right there in camp on a picnic table would be the course map for that year laid out on the table. And everybody got as much time as they needed, literally the day before the race, to sit down at that picnic table and draw Laz's map, which is the official course map, onto whatever map it is that you brought with you to the event. Thankfully, Laz used a state park map, so I just copied his map to my state park map. And then I went back to my campsite and I used shipping tape to laminate my map right then and there so that it was waterproof for the adventure. I've also mentioned the more and more difficult 50K. Same thing, nobody knew the course until you arrived in camp. Now in Barkley, also, it was illegal to train on the course. Nobody was allowed to know where all of the books were hidden. Everything was shrouded in this ironclad secrecy. And when we designed Niwots, we wanted it to be a lot different than that. We wanted you to be able to know where the waypoints are. We want you to be able to go out and practice and train on the course. So not just so that you know where everything is, but you know how to self-rescue, how to get yourself out if anything happens, or if you're going to quit, or if you've had enough. It's a part of our risk management plan. And we give you the maps. I give you the official maps and tools for you to use on the Sunday before the event so that you have the rest of the week to create your own mapping materials. Not just a day, but a whole week. And also, to be fair, we spend many months going out together and seeing the course. And you get a collection of maps along the way through vision quests and side quests that give you a lot of information about where the course does and does not go, understanding that there will be some edits along the way, because I do want to keep it secret to some level, so it's fun in that way. But ultimately, here it is, April 6th, a little less than a month out from the race, and at this point in time, you could do a lot of homework in the hub and find all the information and create your own map of where you think the race goes right now. And then on Sunday, right before it's time, you could just make little adjustments to your map and have it ready to go, right? So again, you're going to receive maps on the Sunday prior to the event, and then you'll have the rest of the week to create whatever it is you'll want to bring for navigation, or if you want something more than is provided to you. You don't need to, but it's highly recommended. And I'll talk about this more here in a little bit. But for now, I think we need to get out to CalTopo so that we can see what we're talking about. So let me pull this up. I'm going to show you this website. It won't let me. So basically, you would go to caltopo.com, and there on the home page of the website, which this won't let me just let me load it so I can show them the home screen. Well, let me do it. Anyway, there's an orange button in the upper right corner of the screen that says Start Mapping. And after you click on that, it will bring you to this. So here it is. Here's CalTopo. Let me, I'm going to resize this here for a minute so that, let me see how I do that. That's not it. That's better. Okay, so here it is. We got CalTopo. And the first thing I want you to see, let me put this, I got to arrange my screen here so I can navigate all three of these things all at once. On the right-hand side of the screen, right-hand menu, it says Map Layers, right? I got a pen. Here we go. So here it is, the right-hand menu on your screen. It says Map Layers. And the first one that I have open is just the basic CalTopo topo layer, and that's indicated here. And then underneath that, it says Shaded Relief. It says Normal, Enhanced, and Terrain. And I find those three options interesting because I think the normal is enhanced and the enhanced is not enhanced. But there's that little slider there on the screen, and if you slide it left and right, you adjust the shaded relief on the map. So here it is at 0. I always like to start at 30. Most of the maps that I make are at about 30%. But if you go all the way to the right to 100%, it completely disappears the topo layer. But there's a lot here that I want to show you. So all the way off, this is Raleigh Peak. This is an area that is on the Niwots course. And on this map, you can see quite a bit of information. But once you start getting out here to, your shaded relief to 30%, to me, this has always been like a cheat for me, for other folks, because my brain, the way my brain works as a neurodivergent individual, one of my superpowers is I can look at a 2-dimensional topographic map and my brain automatically sees it in 3 dimensions in my head. And I can actually spin it around in my head and see all of these areas like I'm looking at a model. It's an amazing superpower, but I've come to learn that that's rare and not a lot of people can do that. And so this shaded relief lever allows people to adjust the shading of these mountainsides. So it kind of actually allows your eyes and your brain to compute this in 3 dimensions, even though it's still 2-dimensional. So now, again, you'll notice like there's not a ton of detail there, but if I go all the way up to 100, all of a sudden there's a ton of detail on here. And what this actually is a LiDAR satellite scan of the terrain here. And if we zoom in, there's an awful lot of things that start to show up that didn't show up before. Like, look at all of these. Here we got like a bunch of quarries. We got a little quarry here. This is area we like to kind of refer to as the quartz mine. There's all these little dig sites. But then you can also see an old road right here. And there's a road here. And if you're navigating out in the wilderness, you're trying to navigate, we call these things handrails. These are things that if you know that they're there, you can like look for them while you're out walking across the landscape. And so what I say that this is a powerful tool because of the accuracy and the layers that are available. That's what I mean, is that this map really allows you, this mapping software really allows you to get into the minutia of what's going on the earth when you're in these places. Okay? So we're going to come back to the right-hand map layers menu here on the right. We're going to come back to this. For now, I just want you to know we're using the topo layer and shaded relief set to 30%. And again, we'll come back and I'll explain all of this to you later. But for now, that's just where I wanted to start. I think it's the best place to start. Now there's the left-hand menu. And the left-hand menu says your mom. No, I'm just kidding. It says map objects. And the first thing you notice in this menu is it says import and export. And then there's this button, plus add. Now, import, if you clicked on that, and I will, there's a button that says choose files. And that's for you if you have a GPX file, a KML file, a GeoJSON file, if you know what that is, saved on your computer. This is where you'd click the button to go find it and upload that file to your map. And whatever GPX file that you have or whatever it is will show up on your map. Really cool. The other part of this is the export button. And I'm going to show you that again later on. But that is where you would export your GPX file or KML file so that you can upload it to your watch or device or whatever you're using. But because Niwots is technology free, we are going to ignore those buttons for now. Okay? And we're really going to focus on this add button. So I'm going to click the add button, and here is a new menu. These are all the objects that you can add to your map. There's markers, lines, buffers, polygons, folders if you have the Pro subscription. Pro is like $100 a year, I believe. Folder, range ring, bearing line, sector, locator. There's custom layers. Most of them are Pro. Some of them I actually haven't even played with. But for the purposes of this conversation and this tutorial, we're going to focus most on marker, line, buffer, folder, and bearing line. These are going to be our main tools that I really want to show you. And then you can fuck around and find out for other things. Okay? So the first one I want to focus on is folder. And that's right here. So I'm going to click on folder, and it's going to ask me to name this folder. And let's say, well, I want a folder for the roots. And it says visible and show labels. If checked, folder objects will be visible on page load. And if checked, labels will be visible for objects in this folder. I just always keep those selected. I never mess around with that. But you can always click that little pencil icon. So I created my folder for roots. There's a pencil icon. There's a trash can. Naturally, if you click the trash can, are you sure you want to delete this folder? Yes, I am. And then I just deleted it. Let's make it come back. There's no undo button on this part, by the way. But here you go. Roots. There's also this pencil. If you click on it, that allows you to edit what we just did. You can change the name. There's also bulk ops, but there's no objects in here to do bulk anything with yet. So there's nothing there to show you. There's roots. There's waypoints. There's water. There's points of interest. And points of interest may be things that you want to be looking out for on your adventure. And there's also quitter routes. So I like to create folders because it allows me to organize all of these things that I'm about to build. And you could move them around later if you want, but I just think it's really important to have them organized. And I'll show you why as I go along. So we've created these folders. Great. The next thing I want to do is create a line. So I'm going to open this. I'm going to click on add, and I'm going to click on line. And on the bottom left-hand corner of my map, which is too small, let me see if I can adjust this just a bit so that you can see it better. Screw it, I'll go back to letterbox. Here it is on the bottom. Now, there's a lot going on here. The first one is this drop-down menu. It says lines and polygons. If you just create this line without assigning it to a folder, this new folder will be created called lines and polygons. That's their default setting. And that's cool and all, but this is going to be a root that I'm creating. So I'm going to click on the drop-down menu and select roots. And now whatever I create will end up in that roots folder that I created earlier. Now there's two buttons in the top left corner. The one on the left, if I click on it, will bring up this menu. And this is an edit style menu. I can change the color of the line. Typically at Niwots, I like to make sure that burn is colored red. So I'm going to leave this red, but you can change it to blue or purple. You can change it using the hex code, RGB codes. You can drag this thing all over and make it whatever shade of purple that you want. We have line styles. Basically, if I draw a line, it will look like whatever style I select. There's directionals, so you can drop a line and it'll put these arrows in it. And then there's all of these other incident command / fire symbols that wildland firefighters are really knowledgeable about and know what they are. But for the purposes of Niwots, they're just really cool artistic lines that we can put on our map. The other thing is you can change the line weight. I usually like 3 for maps that I create, but you can make it a skinnier line or a thicker line. It's totally up to you, but I like 3. And then opacity is how see-through do you want that line to be. So there's 10%. It won't let you go to 0 because then it just disappears. But I just leave it at solid. All right. So I'm going to leave it at this. I'm going to leave it at 3. It's red. Line weight's 3. Opacity is 100%. And just the standard basic line is what I want. I'm going to click apply. If you clicked the little pencil next to the red line, remember I said there's 2 buttons. Really, you could click either that red line right here or this little pencil, and the same menu opens up. I can add a description, an example for the Niwots tutorial. I'm going to show you what that's about. And then example route is what I want to call it. Now I can't save it yet because there's nothing on the map. So I'm going to see. Okay. Oh no, the OSM layer's not working right now. Here it comes. Maybe I can get my internet to work a little bit better. But so first thing I want to show you is basically what you're supposed to see right now. I'm going to click undo. What you're supposed to see right now is that every trail on this map would be highlighted in yellow because these are an OSM mapping feature. Now, what is OSM? Well, it's right here. OpenStreetMap. That's what OSM stands for. And OpenStreetMap is a place for mapping things that are both real and current. It includes millions of buildings, roads, and other details about places. And the number of people all around the world that uses OSM for mapping is gigantic. Here's GIS traces, something that I've been talking to you about the information that's out there in the world. But they have these little communities, and OpenStreetMap US, here they have their own website. And basically, you could become like a mapping expert for them. And right now, one of the coolest projects ever is taking place. And that is that OpenStreetMaps is working with USGS to create a true national database of every trail that exists in all of the United States. And in order to do that, is that OSM needs volunteers like us to go out and walk a trail and create a GPX track of the trail that we're on to verify that the trail exists. If it's paved or dirt or gravel, or if it's a social trail or unofficial trail or whatever. And they're adding all of this information to the database so that there is a true database of all legal trails in the US. And the reason why that's important is because most of these software companies like All Trails and Gaia GPS and Trail Forks and others, they pull the OSM data onto their base maps to show where the trails are. So it's really important that they get that information to be more accurate. So here on my map, you see these yellow lines. And what that means is you're going to see here in the upper left corner, snap to OSM. And that means that when I go to drop a line on this map, I'm just going to show you. I'm going to click on, you see how like I bring my cursor over to one of these trails and it glows red. And that means if I drop my line here, it's going to recognize that trail. All right, well, cool. Now I'm on the trail, but allows me to just I'm not doing anything except moving my cursor. And so let's say I want to come over here. It will automatically snap to highlight the trail on the quickest possible route to get to that point. That is the most direct route on trail to get to that point. And then I'll double click, and that's it. I don't want to save it. I'm doing this way because I have a pro account, and I want you to see what it all looks like if you have a free account. And I will go to my pro account later so you can see some of that. But So here we go. It created our trail for us automatically, snap to an OSM, which is I want to zoom in here. You see how all these lines do not match where our trail goes? Well, that's because all these lines are using old data. And I'm going to make another line as an example. So like the Colorado Trail. So here, I'm going to click here, and I want to go out here on the Colorado Trail. I'm going to double click. Now here on the left under my, you can see how they, after I'm done, they show up in my routes folder, and that's where I wanted them to go. But now I've got an NA. Well, I know that's what I just created, so I'm going to call it CT example, and I'm going to click save. And it's really close to that other line, so I kind of want to change the color. So I'm going to change it to blue, and there you go. So cool stuff. I've got my 2 examples, but I want to show you, like, it's pretty close. This map, the base map, has the Colorado Trail slightly off where it actually exists. And if I use the Forest Service map, it's a hell of a lot closer than that topo map. Hell, on the upper side here, there's even like a little, what the hell is even that? If I switch over to the Forest Service map, it disappears. And the OSM snap to doesn't even recognize that little whatever that is even exists, right? So this is kind of where that kind of comes in. Now, again, if I want to make a line, I can switch to U.S. Forest Service. And now just the U.S. Forest Service recognized routes and trails are illuminated. I want to show you here in this area, right? These all exist according to the Forest Service. Whether they're official or not is another question. But if I click OSM, they don't exist, and they're not there. Now, which one are you going to believe more? Well, I would say if I click Forest Service, well, actually, based on that, I'm going to turn my relief up, and I can see that those roads, they are clearly in there. They exist. And in fact, if I go back and I turn that Forest Service layer on again, there they are. But they're on private property and they don't want the public to go in there. And so because they're not official Forest Service routes, even though they're there, OSM recognizes that, and so they don't show up on the OSM layer. So that's kind of what's going on here. So OSM really allows us to see the legal routes and the legal trails. So the other way that we can create a line, add it at a time. I didn't realize it was in that, but add line. I just showed you the snap to feature. Makes it really easy. But let's say I want to go across this ridge off of the Colorado Trail. So I'm going to click one time just to start my line. And you're going to notice on the top of the screen, right here, there's the middle one. I'm going to start with the middle one. As I drag my my cursor around, I'm just dragging my cursor around. But as I drag it across this ridge, it's telling you that my line that I'm about to create travels at 135 degrees true north, also known as 127 degrees magnetic north. And currently, this line is 360 feet long. That's what that middle thing is telling me. Now, in the upper right is another thing that spins around as I move my cursor around. And that one's telling me the GPS coordinate of where my cursor is. So that's the GPS coordinate of the end of my cursor, which is what I'm moving. Not where I first clicked, but where I'm about to click. So there's the GPS coordinates of where I'm about to click and the elevation of the spot I'm about to click on, and that it is on the WGS 84 datum, which is a mapping data file that the world uses. I actually don't like that one. I'll show you how to change that later. But for now, that's what that says. And the other thing I want you to note is down here at the bottom of the screen, there's another thing giving us information. It basically says CalTopo, OpenStreetMap, contributors, various DEM sources. It's metadata. But all the way down in that far right corner, it says north is up, magnetic north is 8 degrees east. And that's your declination. So there's no OSM snap to here. In fact, if I'm going to walk along the Colorado Trail, there's no SM snap to on this map right now either. Really frustrating. There usually is. There should be. I don't know why it's broken. I don't care right now. But let's say we want to go over this ridge down to this road, and then we want to follow the road. Since there's no snap to, I'm just going to click, and each click, this is a single click. It's not a double click. Every single click that I do is creating the route that I want to go, one click at a time. Now, this is how I have created the Niwots map. Every single year, thousands of clicks across this landscape until this year, because I learned a new trick. Now, let's say that I want us to go all the way down this drainage back to the CT, but I don't want to do a click for every single turn that happens down there. Instead, Instead, what I'm going to do is on my keyboard, I'm going to hold down the shift button, and then I'm going to depress. See, right now, if I click on my mouse, I'm just doing a single click and holding it down on my mouse. It allows me to move the map around. But if I hold the shift key down on my keyboard and then click, my cursor moves. And now I am tracing a line down this drainage all the way to the CT. And this and then I let go at the CT, and I was like, that looks good. That's what I want to do. And I click save. And there's my line. Again, on the left under roots, it says an A, example 2, save. And that's how you create lines. So you can click, and double click, or click save, and that'll create your line. You can shift and drag your cursor, and it will trace. But let's say, oh man, but you know what? This in here is not accurate enough for me. I really want to refine this map. So I'm going to put my cursor on the red line, and then I'm going to click it, and it shows up. It's example 2 down here in the bottom left corner. It's example 2. That's what I named that route. Well, what's the profile say? Well, if I click on it, this is the entire 1.34 miles. And let me zoom out. If I put my cursor down below, and I'm just dragging it across my map, that little red dot shows you where on your elevation profile you are on the map. And so you can follow the course of your route all the way across what we just mapped. I can see that it's 1.34 miles long. My elevation ranges from 7,200 to 7,900 feet. Gross gain and loss. Linear grade, elevation change. Well, this is all cool and all, but I want more info than that. I think it can be more accurate. So all the way over to the right, I'm going to click on stats. And now I've got a bigger view of this. And there's these neat scales on the bottom that tell you about the elevation, min, average, max, the delta, slope angles, and for what percentage of that route that slope angle is at. So this is like max 43% is what it's saying. So 43% of the slope of this route is at about 25% slope angle. Aspect is, how it's facing, and we know that this is here. south and east facing, right? Because our elevation, oh boy, it's kind of telling us, showing us, this is all south and east facing. This is south facing. This is south and east facing. This is all south and east facing, right? So it's just kind of that little thing is, pull it back up. It's just showing us the aspect of where this trail kind of lands. And then again, the slope angles. And then there's tree cover and what is on the land. And it's kind of telling you, well, 90% of it is forested, 6% is shrub, 4% is grassland. And it shows you, so the top line on this elevation profile, this one here, that's your slope angle. And you can see it changes out over here, right? And then the middle one is land cover. And then the bottom one is tree cover. So what's on the land and what's kind of tree cover do you have? And so you can see like these areas where you're exposed and there's just grasses there, right? And that's kind of in that part of this thing. But then there's this magic button called resample. And this is important. So I click on this and I want to do like, well, once per waypoint. I want to get more accurate numbers with a smaller sampling interval. And it says, beware that too small of an interval can cause gross gain loss overestimations due to noise. You know, that's accurate. So I want to change it to 25 feet and then click go. And boom, we got a more accurate number and a more accurate elevation profile that shows more of the undulation of that trail that we're on. So you can also download this as an image, a PNG, a PDF, and we can just get rid of it altogether. The other thing that we can do is transform this line. And so again, I want to show you that how I got to that menu was I just clicked on the line. And transform is like, I know I want to make that longer. So I would click extend, and then I'm going to start here and I want to make it longer. And it just automatically connects that gap that I have. And now it's a little bit longer. The other thing that I can do is split it. And I want it to have a new name and a new color. I'm going to click OK, and we're split in there. Did I do it right? I don't know. I need to change the color. I said I wanted to do both. Let's change it to purple. Okay, great. So now I've got two lines. Transform and join. Well, join line example 2 with must be named. I want to join it with that number 3, end of 2, start of 3. And now I just remade the original line that I just had. And example 3 disappeared from my roots folder. The other thing I can do is convert to buffer. Now this is really important. I'm going to tell you why this trick is important. So at Niwots, right, we say that there's the line on the map, and your goal and the rule is for you to follow the route exactly as it's been laid out. However, some of the places that we go, it's like, I'm not sending you down in that. That's stupid. There's nothing but, you'll never be able to walk through that. It's so thick. Scrub oak, red thorn, brush, willows, whatever. You guys can't walk through that if you're truly following the line. And sometimes you're in places where following the line would be like kind of dangerous. So we say that the rule is you have 30 yards on each side of the line. So the line, the route as laid out, that's your center line, and you have 60 yards total. You have a 180-foot wingspan to follow the route within that buffer. So that's where this comes in. You can click on convert to buffer, and we know that the radius is this is the distance that you get from the center line on either side of the line, which would be 90 feet. So I'm going to type 90 feet and click OK. Oh, shit. What just happened? Well, I got a buffer. And now this is actually the line that you must follow the route within this buffer zone. As long as you're within that buffer, you are legally on the course. All right? But I kind of want to convert it to a line. So, all right, well, that's it. And it's supposed to be a line again, but CalTopo isn't... Oh, it's a line around the buffer. I don't like that. I didn't expect it to do that. Let's do... I wish it was like an undo, but that's fine. I'm just going to delete it. The other way you can create a buffer is clicking add, and then again, I'm going to click buffer. And like we agreed, it's 90 feet, either side of that center line. And I'm going to draw a route again. And again, I don't have a snap to in here, but man, I hate doing all that clicking. So I'm just going to do my best to trace along the CT. And then I'm going to send you guys down this drainage. And there we go. It's good. Click save. Boom, we got a buffer. That's another way to make a buffer. Okay. And because I'm making a buffer, it's a new thing. It's not a line. I want to update my route. It's in number 3. Now again, on this one, I added information here in the description, but if I get rid of that and then click save, it'll disappear in the folder on the left. But if I want to make sure I want some more information here on my map, I can just type in the description, just an example, and it shows up underneath. Okay. I want to go back to my blue line here that we used earlier, and I'm going to click on it, and I'm just going to click edit. I'm not clicking transform. I'm going to click the edit button. All right, well, what is this? Well, shit, these are my waypoints that are a part of the GPX file. And this is where you kind of get into refinement. And I want to go back here and identify that, well, man, this looks like it's a little bit off. So I'm going to click edit, and then all you do is I'm going to click on and hold these little waypoints and drag them to specifically where I want them to rest. And that is like me getting hyper focused, hyper critical of the route to make sure that it's truly as accurate as humanly possible based on the tools that I have and the information that I have here to make it happen. And then I click save, and it saves it. Sometimes you'll make a route or you'll upload a route, and there'll be what looks like a million of these. It happens all the time. And what I do is I will right click on one of them, and this is the vertex, the waypoint, another word, at that GPX coordinate. I just want to delete it, and it disappears. And so if you get in these areas where, man, there's just too many of these, I just want to thin this out a little bit. But you got to understand, the more you get rid of those, you're connecting the dots in a straight line. So it's like, well, shit, I kind of want more so that I can adjust. So as I click on one and start to adjust, more are going to appear. You see that? So just things to think about when you get into working with the vertices on adjusting your map. So that's how to make lines. That's how to turn your lines into buffers or create a buffer. And again, I really like this buffer because the rules apply, and you can see, well, shit, as long as I'm I don't need to be in that creek. I just need to be above the creek. And in this case, shit, it would almost be legal for you to be on this ridge line most of the way down, but you got to be just off the side of it because you're not supposed to be on the ridge. It's to the side of it. But that's what 90 feet of from the center line of the original route looks like. Okay. So just a way to make sure that you stay within the rules. Next thing I want to show you is waypoints. So again, I'm going to click add. I'm going to click on marker. And that little red dot just appeared on my screen. If you can't see it, it's right in there. Sometimes I have to search for that fucker. It's supposed to be right smack dab in the middle of the screen. My brain sometimes forget that little bit of information. I'm always like, where the hell is it? But it isn't set yet. And right now, let's say I want to, let's go to, I want to move it down to Raleigh Peak. Let me move my map. We know there's a waypoint in there. There's no secret. So I'm going to click on this and hold down my mouse. If I just click on it once, nothing happens. But if I click and hold it down, I'm able to drag this little dot wherever I want. And so I'm going to place it here in the call of Raleigh Peak. And then I'm actually going to click this edit button. And then this is going to come up. And there's all these letters. And it's B. If I select B, it's D if I select D. And it's a B waypoint, right? It's a burn waypoint. But actually, let's just say it's B10. I don't know what it actually is. It won't let me put B10. It only allows me to use two things in here. Doesn't matter if it's a 1, it's a 1. If it's 10, it's 10. It'll only allow you 2 digits or 2 letters. So I could do AA. I could do BZ. But we know it's waypoint 10, so I'm just going to do the number 10. Actually, let me choose 20. I think I've done too many things at this point. Let me back out. Edit. That's waypoint 20. And there you go. I could change the color. That's waypoint 20. I can change the size. I think I'm using 0.75 on my maps. And then when I hit apply, there it is. Shows up on a map as a 20. And then I can label this B20 and click save. And there it is. It's in my markers folder as B20. Or I can just, you know what? It's just 20. That's all I need it to be. And that keeps your map clean. Remember, if you put a title in there, we've decided early that, well, the title is going to show up on this thing. Oh, how do I change that? Well, I would move this, let's say, into points of interest. And then I could edit my, show labels. No, I don't want it to show labels. So I'm going to click save. I'm going to go back to my points of interest. I'm going to move it back down to waypoints. And oh, it still shows it. I don't know. I'm just going to delete it. Makes the map, keeps the map clean. I know what it is. It's B20. So that's how I would put the waypoints on my map. And as I zoom out, that waypoint changes. I can see it, right? It kind of keeps itself. If I hold my cursor over it, I get a GPX up in the upper right corner, the elevation. All right, cool. Well, there's more. Let's say we're down here in Spring Creek. Well, I want there to be a marker for water. And on the map that you get from me, I'll have a waypoint down there. And I think I usually choose like the letter W or this W. And I'll hit apply and there it is. And I want this to be in my water folder. So now I know that there's water there. I could fill up in Spring Creek. Most years there's water high above up here in Spring Creek in this area, but we know this year there isn't because we just didn't get a lot of snow or anything. So I want to make sure I know that there's no water in here. So I got that. It's in the water folder and I click save. on this other one that I made, by the way, let's say I'm over here, I'm looking at the one I just placed. If I just come over to my menu and I click here on the one I placed previously, the map will auto adjust over to it. I can hit delete and I can say good water flow, or I can write in my description trickle, and it'll show up there in my menu. I'm going to get rid of that. Okay. Well, what about quitters routes? Well, let's say that for shits and giggles, for sake of conversation, where somewhere in this buffer, I'm going to add a marker. The last marker you used is what shows up on the screen, and I'm going to move it over here to the CT. And I'm going to change that. Usually I label these as Q for quitter. And that's going to mark that that's a quitter route. And then the other thing that I like to do is they're labeled, but what I do for my sake is these quitters routes are all going to be highlighted so you know where they go. And on the map that I provide you, it'll say in the description, Colorado Trail, head east to Judy Gaskill Bridge, then south on road, or west to County Road and hitchhike back. Really good spelling there, John. And that way I've got my quitter notes. But then again, there might be other things that I want to list, like let's see. A lot of old roads in here. I'm trying to find something that I don't know, let's just marker here. Point of interest. Let me see. I'll do this sometimes. That's my icon, and I'll write decision point. And that's like, do I want to keep going? And I would mark these too, so that I know, like, I really need to decide right there if I have enough to make it to the next spot where I could bail out. That's where I would make my decision. What am I going to do? So sometimes I label them like that. Or, you know, maybe you're walking around in this area, which we wouldn't be. And I'll show you why in a minute. But yeah, I just like mine. I like to go back to this waypoint folder and like really take a look at all of these waypoints that are available. I like to change the color so I can actually see them. These don't have a frame, but you can make them a hexagon, a pentagon, a square, a diamond, a place mark, a triangle, like whatever you want to do. And then you can, you know, if you like any of these, you can put them out there. I don't know why you would. Oh, let's say death. We know there's a giant fucking hole here we don't want to fall into, right? So I'm just going to put that there. I know what it means. The other thing that you can do with these waypoints, this is the incident command. Tells you what each and every single one of them is. If I clicked on that button, it's just a lot. So I like, I don't want to see that. But there's a lot here that I might use for something. Maybe if there's a gate out there, gate symbol, or If there's a fucking phone, who knows? And then there's universal search and rescue symbols down at the bottom and what they're telling you. But the other thing that you can do, and I'll show you on Pro, if you have the subscription, is you can include your like a custom symbology. That's what these are called, a custom waypoint or a custom symbology that you would find on the internet and just plug in here. You can upload your own symbology and save it in your data if you were logged in. And it allows you to really customize the symbols and what you're looking at. So Kevin would have like a weird looking stick on his map to remind him that there's a weird looking stick there, and when you pass that, you're going to veer left. So those are little Niwots clues. There's also these arrows, and you can change the direction that this arrow points and where'd it go? Here it is. And I make sure to remind myself to head in that direction. And it's there, right? So those are waypoints. Now the other thing is bearing lines. Now I want to show you this because again, I'm gonna move my bearing line around, and this is like not doing what I want it to do. That's not. Hold on a damn minute. Let me edit you. All right, there we go. I found the end of it. Let's shorten that up quite a bit. Okay, so I found the end. It looks like a vertex. And, you know, I want to be like, well, from here, I want to head in that direction. I don't want it to be the same color of my route, but you're going to have the arrows. And it's showing me here in this little thing at the bottom again, this little menu. This first one, it says bearing. And it says here, true. Well, no, I want it to be mag because my map is going to be in mag and I'm going to be using a compass. So I want to know what that mag bearing is on that line that I'm about to follow. So move it to where I want it to go. And you're following 17.8 degrees mag for a quarter mile because that's how long my line is. If I make it longer, it makes the range longer. There it's like a half mile or whatever. But yep, that's the bearing I want to go. And then when I click save, it shows up here in the menu in our folders. Here, let me get rid of that. Over here. So it's like, well, shit. Now I need a folder for bearings. So add folder, bearings, save, pencil on this guy, throw it into bearings, click save, and it's telling me you're going 18.52 degrees magnetic north at a quarter mile. So I think I want to update the description. I just want my bearing. I'm going to click save, and there it is. My bearing for that direction shows up right here under my line within the buffer. I can make as many of those as I want. Well, shit. I want a bearing line. Get out of here. I want to come back down over this way, my guy. Oh, now I got to go find the top. This is annoying. All right, let me zoom back in. Now I got the top, and I know I'm going this direction. And get out of here. It's black. I kind of want to, let's change the opacity of this one. Let's call it 50%. A little bit. There we go. So it's a little more transparent. Apply. I want to make sure it's mag. But I want you to go here on that mag bearing. That's about the bearing we're going to follow until it swings, right? I'm going to, what's the title? Well, it's 90.18. And then you know what? I might as well edit that one because we're switching the bearing. Yep. Click save. Oh, I forgot my degree symbol. There we go. So now I've got my bearings on my map within my buffer line. So again, when you go to place a bearing, you might want to zoom out. Here's the bearing line again. It's like, holy shit, really? Why does it need to be that long? I got to scroll around on the map so I can find the end of it, bring it back in. Then I'm going to click and hold on the bottom so I can move it around to where I want to move it to. Then I'm going to click and hold on the top so I can, you know, it's work. And I'm showing you this so that you'll know it's work, so that you'll do the work well in advance and you're not stuck running out of time. All right, well that's, I'm just going to call it 79 degrees. That's good. Click save. It's cool. I got my bearings. So a reminder that your map, the maps that I provide you are in MAG. This map that you print is going to be in MAG. In fact, if you're going to use your compass with the map, your compass is MAG, so your map has to be MAG. So make sure your bearings are in MAG. That's the point that I'm trying to make here. Let's go back to this right-hand menu again. I want to show you again. And again, there's all these layers that you can add. There's a hybrid layer, which is like satellite imagery with the topography laid on top of it. There's just imagery. We got roads. There's none in there except for those fire roads. Those appear. That's cool. Stop zooming. I have a Mac, so my mouse has a mind of its own just by hovering of my finger. This is an old scan of a USGS map. Forest Service topo in green. Something I'm going to show you about the Forest Service map. Now, pay attention. It says 2016, so that's a decade ago. And you notice like all these areas of white. Everything that is green is vegetation. Everything that is white is signifying there's no vegetation there. And I'm going to zoom down here so you can see the burn scar. Check that out. Looks like a cigar. That's the burn scar. There's no vegetation on it. So the Forest Service map kind of gives you an opportunity to really check that out. And there's all kinds of other layers on here. There's a NAIP. It's a vegetation map. But what I want you to notice, I'm going to click topo, and then down here on the bottom of my screen is a button, and that is your legend. And so if you click on that, there's the topo info. It tells you what all the symbols are on this map for you. And then if I change it to roads, oh, there isn't one. Darn. Also in the upper right-hand corner here, that is a layers button. And if you click on it, it just makes that right-hand thing disappear and reappear. And so does the little arrow next to the word ownership. It's the same thing. It's redundant. But let's say you want to add some base layers. On the bottom of this menu, it says configure layers. And if you click on that, well, here's all of the different layers that are available to you. Well, shit, there's Forest Service, the one I just showed you, but they have it in white also. So I'm going to check mark that because I want to see that. I hate TF Outdoors. It doesn't do shit for me. OpenStreetMap we use. OpenStreet Cycle Map. Yeah, well, that's what the trails. I don't care about the infrared, marine, historical. But then there's all these other things. Well, contours. Well, then there's 40-foot contours and 10-foot contours. Slope and angle shading, gradient slope shading, geology. Yeah, let's click that. Let's take a look at that. There's recreation. I don't care about shared maps. Fire history, structures, cell phone coverage, AVI forecast, wind plot, weather stations. Some of these you're going to notice it says Pro. Like this weather station one right here. It says Pro. Well, that means you need a subscription to be able to use it. Same thing with parcel data. You're going to need Pro. So, well, shit, I don't have Pro. So, can't use it anyway. I'm going to turn it off. Everything else? Nope. Sentinel Weekly, you need Pro. Turn it off. It tells you which ones work offline. Can't use weather stations. All right, this looks good. So now I'm going to click back. Well, where are they? Well, if I click on this, well, OpenStreetMap. Well, that's cool. But what about OpenStreetCycle Map? Well, there's the Colorado Trail. Kind of slow. My internet's slow, but CT loaded. That's cool. Well, if I want to add a line, does it? Man, it wants to have it highlighted. A pain in the ass. Let me go back to my topo layer. And then, oh, we got contours. Well, all that I just did was click the contour button, and it made the contours already existent on this map appear more. Now, if I click on topo info, is there any? There's no info here about the topo layers, how far apart that they are, but I can see that this one's 7,400 and that's 7,200. So it looks like it's a contour every 50 feet, and the main contours are every 200 feet. All right, well, about one every 40 feet, 40-foot contours. Is it different? Nope, that's what it has. But what about 10-foot contours? Oh, now we're talking, right? It's put all of these contour lines on this map. And as I zoom out, like it's too much information for this to load quickly. So there it is. Shit, that's way too busy. I don't like that. Well, what about, now we're talking. Slope angle shading. And the darker the color, the steeper the terrain. Well, that works a lot better for me than contours, because these 10-foot contours, it's just too much information. It makes my map way too busy. It's hard to read, especially if we're zoomed out. So using the slope angle shading actually allows us to see, well, where's the steep sections? Like, where's the shit going down, right? And then there's this gradient slope shading, which is it's a color-coded way of looking at the entire landscape. Sometimes I use this one, but I really like this one. This is all that I need. Geology, that's a fun layer. Geology info button appeared on the bottom. I click on it and it tells me the type of rocks that are present in this area. And well, why is this important? Because they change. Like over here's a gravel pit. It's all gravel. We all know this whole fucking place is gravel, but on the Chiefs Loop, it's depending on where you are, it's a different makeup. Well, I'm going to click on that. What else is going on? Well, here's everything that's going on. I believe that's metamorphic over yonder way. Map builder overlay. It's route discovery is what it's under. And so, well, this kind of brings up all those roads and things that I was wondering about here in this area. God, my mouse is driving me nuts. I do apologize. You're probably getting sick. Recreation, I've got it selected for mountain bike. The only legal mountain bike route through there is the Colorado Trail. Skiing? Nope, there's none of that. So mountain bike it is. Public lands. Oh, we're on to something. Everything is lit up green except for this boxed area. And I'm going to bring in the polygon tool, and so I can show you basically what I'm talking about. this is private land. And at Niwots, it is imperative that you know where every parcel of private land is, and you never step foot on private land, especially in Jefferson County. Because if you're on private land and it's zoned agricultural, you can be charged with a misdemeanor. So I always put on my map where the private land is so I know not to go there. Very important. I'm going to get rid of my public lands layer. I'm going to get rid of that because I don't need it anymore or right now. Wind plot. This is wind speed right now. Let me zoom in. Oh, the winds are out of the north at about 10 miles an hour. It says it on the bottom. What's it supposed to be in 30 hours? Coming out of the southwest, looks like. Yep. Still 10 miles an hour. Heavy forecast. Oh, there is a forecast. It zoomed out. You can click on it. Low. There's no snow. Sun exposure. Now this one's interesting. I'm going to put it for 1 p.m. I'm going to zoom back in. So here's the burn area, 1 p.m. But the sun's setting around 6. So let's switch it to 6. Oh, suddenly there's shadows. So these dark areas, oh, it doesn't tell you. The dark areas are where the shadows are. 7:30, 8 o'clock. It's dark. And that's average for May. You want to do April, let's say, well, I want it in June, 8 o'clock. There's still some sunlight, right? So, yeah, that's sun exposure throughout the day. You can see, like, where do I want to be at 1 o'clock in the afternoon in May? Well, it doesn't freaking matter, but where do I want to be later in the day? Boy, there's just sun everywhere. Fire history. If you set this to 2006 to present, the main burn on our course disappears. I was like, well, I want to know. It's obviously a burn area. Cool. Well, let's zoom out. That's the 1996 Buffalo Creek fire. If I click on it, nothing happens. It's not a working layer like that. But the Chair Rocks Express is the 2013 Lime Gulch fire. There was another one over here at the base of Ramona Gulch in 2021. So it's just a way for you to be able to see where the fires were in this area. Structures. Well, way up here in Longview, we know that these structures are houses. I'm going to click imagery so I can see, yep, those are houses. Those are definitely houses. But I want to zoom out because there's dots over here at Raleigh Peak. But we know there's no houses out there. There's no structures. So what the hell's going on? The map is fooled. These rocks are so freaking big that it is registering them as houses. So that's what those are. It's kind of fooled. But up here, that's clearly the footprint of a house. And it's got it. There's a house. There's an outbuilding. So just another layer for you able to see, like, what is out there. The Patsy Mines, another area of private property. There's no structures over here. So if you were going to trespass on that land, I would say, that's the best place to do it because there's not a house over there. The likelihood of somebody seeing you is low. And then cell coverage. This is for all carriers. I'll zoom out. And here it is. It tells you these are all the carriers. And it's color coded so that, green is like everybody has coverage. I'm a Verizon customer, so I'm going to use it, switch this to Verizon, and now I can see exactly where on the burn loop I'll have cell coverage. And how much of the course there actually isn't any cell coverage. So that might be helpful to you. Okay, this is a great time to get back into like how is the Niwots course designed. And I think that the best place to do that is over here on the Chiefs Loop. So we can see on this map where the power line is. And here's Bennett Mountain. And let's go over here to Nature Trail. Turn this off for a minute. We can see the Colorado Trail on our map. It kind of goes across this way, right? I'm going to turn that shading on, and right here, you're going to see this line right here where there's no color on it. And that is a place on the course known as the wall number 3. That's what it's called, the wall number 3. And in some years, you actually traverse the wall and the route goes right up the spine because that is the safest place to climb that hill, right? Also, old roads show up when you turn this on. Actually, it's part of the old road through here, but it used to be the Colorado Trail. It now goes around, but you can see the old trails on this too. And then this is the Nature Trail that heads on up, and you can clearly see it's a pretty flat area to go in. Well, then we also know, like, I believe for shits and giggles, that's the last waypoint marker we used. I just want to do a black one. I believe this is Humpty's place. Is it? Yeah, that's Bennett. That's the ridge. Okay, so that's Humpty's place. And so here's a place we like to call Sherpa's Ass Crack. And we know that the route comes up through the Nature Trail, and there's a marker down here called Nature Trail. And then we go up Sherpa's Ass Crack. And before we ever go there, I'm looking at this map and seeing, like, is there a safe route through that little drainage? And there is. The entire way, there's no purples. It's pretty clear all the way up to Humpty. And even like, oh, if we want to go off to the side here, we can. It looks like it's a little bit safer, but like this is the first step to like figuring out where the course is going to go. And then we actually go out there and check it out during vision quests and side quests. Is that actually a safe route? It sucks, I'm sure, because it's a drainage that's relatively, stuff can grow in there, as to say, and it does. It's really full of blowdowns and red thorn, right? We know that. But that's like how this course is designed. And we always say, like, when you're navigating the Niwots course, pretty much everywhere that you go is either in a drainage or on a ridge line. Well, why is that? Because those are handrails. And we're able to see, like, what ridge lines can we actually walk on that is safe. And I can also turn up my shaded relief and get in there as well. And I can turn this off and on, and you can see the rocky outcrops that are out there. And all right, well, if I turn on my slope angle, I'm going to see, I can color code this and see, like, where can I go? Where can I not go? Like here on this section, like, I'm not going to send you down this. There's some purple in there. I know there's a cliff. I know that's an awful way to go. I might put a marker up here and then maybe have you swing down this way and head out. And maybe you get there from here or something like that, right? So that's kind of like how I design this course. And then we go out and check it out. And after 13 years, we've seen most of it. There's still places that we have not seen and not gone, and most of them are awful. But I just wanted you to see, like, that's actually how this course is designed, and how I like Poppy's Playground. There's a marker out there. Marker. All right, I didn't save that one. It's fine. Still shows me the last one I used. Change it. Poppy's Playground is like out here. Well, how did we know to go out there and put a waypoint out there? Well, the slope angle chart showed me we can get out there. And that's the way that we go to get there. That's how like we find these places. And so when we say to you, like, just because it looks like there's a shortcut, there's no shortcuts at Niwots. The shortcuts are not for you. The course has been made deliberately to the map to allow you to go to each waypoint in the safest possible manner. And if you get off course, you're going to know about it because you could be cliffed out. You could be in a really hard place to get out of. It could be hours before you climb out of there. That's why it's so important to make good maps so you can follow the course. And I want to show you that you can leave this layer on so that you can see it on your maps. I just want to show you one more thing. Forest Service map with green. Forest Service map that's not the one. White. So here's the white map. But I like the green map because I get that extra information about vegetation, right? Okay. That is all the things that I wanted to show you. The next part is printing your map. Oh, ignore map sheets on here. Just ignore this. What it's saying here is that there's 5 map sheets available. And I'll show you what happens if I click one. Pike National Forest, South Platte. Like, oh, what is that? Well, that's the motor vehicle map from the Forest Service that you can pick up at the ranger station. I don't like that. Or this is an actual Jefferson County map for the area. This is actually lined up like a GIS would. This is lined up really good. If I turn that off, that is it. That is like actually it. It's pretty cool. That's a Jefferson County map. But yeah, you can ignore those. That's a lot. Okay, again, the layers that you're going to get in a map from me will be topo. You'll get like for the burn route, the burn loop, and for Chiefs Loop, you're going to get like for usually I do like burn north and burn south. And on burn north, you're going to get a map that is built with the topo layer. You're going to get another map that's built with Forest Service topo green. You're also going to get scan topo, which is USGS. And you're going to get some kind of map from Gaia GPS, which is a completely different site, completely different maps. I usually make one of those. Those are the maps I provide you. The map that I give you, they're going to have the route that looks like one of these. It won't have a buffer. You're going to have the route. You're going to have every waypoint on those maps. I'm also going to make sure all of the private property is highlighted in red so you know not to go there. The waypoints will be there. You're going to, the water will be there. These water symbols, these are way too big. So I will adjust. There we go. You'll have water labeled on your map. Then I'm going to give you a map, a separate map that has all the quitters routes on it. You'll have a separate map that will have all of the place names on it for these areas as well. And it's up to you to like do whatever you want with those maps. Print what you want, bring them with you. I do not provide you maps on race day. So you may want to make your own map, hence this tutorial. You may want to add waypoints for other things like handrails, rocks, trees, scrub oak patches. Yeah, like I'll show you a polygon. Oh, I know for a fact that there's a scrub oak patch like right in here. It goes something like this. Blop. There it is. I don't like it in red though. Edit. Scrub oak is, we'll call it orange. I can make the opacity however I want it to be, the line weight. I just want to know that there's scrub oak there. Save. Now I've got a scrub oak patch. So you can like super customize these maps with whatever information that you want on there to help you navigate this course. And trust me, on some of these vision quests, some of the Nitwits have been taking impeccable notes to add to their master map when the day comes for them to use it. You can also just print a map and write hand notes on it. You can draw your bearings using a ruler and write them in by hand. You can mark sticks by hand, whatever you want to do. But this is just a powerful tool that you can use. I'm going to click print, and it's going to ask me to log in. So here's your print button. I'm going to click on that. Yeah, remember me. You can keep me logged in from now on. You're going to use my Google. It's free. All right, yeah, but the map didn't load, Chode. I lost it. Oh, finally, yeah, there it is. Start mapping. Here it is. Let me turn this off 1 second because I'm just going to pull up a Niwots map. Let me see, what can I show you on this? I'll leave that. Place names in play. That's not in play. Place of the quit. Yeah, I'll show you quitter routes, water crossings. Okay. This is the master map that I'm about to show you. A real treat. I promise. You'll never forget this. I can't believe I'm doing this. But let's check it out. Here is the master map. I'm going to zoom in here to the start finish area. We can see the attic on the left, Quantum Gully, Long Scraggy, Hamburger Rock. See, we got Hamburger, the attic. And these are polygons that I made. So you can see Scraggy's belly button. The start finish here is camp. We got the bookshelf, the Three Stooges, Mo. It's all on this map. This is the master. Also, there's quitter routes. You can see these green lines. And those are like the quitter routes. It's showing you the quickest way to get back to camp. Another one here on this road coming off of Scraggles. If I move around, there's some private parcels you can see. We can see where I have water. Right now, what I have is place names in play, which is right here on my menu. Place names in play, which means these are all the place names that are part of the course this year. If I place names not in play, well, these are all the ones that are not in play this year, so you don't need to worry about them. So I'm just shutting them off. Also up here, it says beta needed. What is beta needed? Oh, that's actually a water crossing. I have to update that because I have beta now. Somebody crossed there. Actually, when I come up, the winter bailout route, and if you click on that, it says winter bailout used due to ice bridge. When ice bridge is present, crossing is great. Without the bridge, care must be taken to choose your way. Current can be strong through here. Lots of boulders. After coming out of the drainage, head downstream. After coming out of the drainage, head downstream to find shallower areas as river widens. Poles are needed. So that's all the information about bailing at the northern bailout route. And I'm going to try to provide some of that information to you as well, so that you know the best places to cross the river if you get lost or anything happens. There's even a place up here that isn't really a part of the course. We've never come up here, but if you find yourself up that way, for instance, Camp ROTC, maybe they made their way to the north. out there. Well, there is a place to cross here, and it is shallow. Um, and that symbol means like it's pretty good. It's good to go there. So all of that information is on the map. There's a Colorado Trail here. That's a bailout route. If I hover over it, it kind of appears like all these places are on this map, mapped for you. But let's say that now we want to print a map. So I'm going to click print, and it's going to bring me to this page. And here's my little square. And this is why I tend to make a burn north and a burn south. So burn north. What do I want this to be? This actually might be 3 maps this year. The way this is pretty awkward. I want to change this to landscape. So I'm going to do that here. Landscape. Great. Now I'm going to look at my little box. This circle here is what you'll click on and hold the mouse down so you can drag it around. And then these arrows allow you to resize your box. So I'm going to resize my box so that the V tree is included. I don't care about that weird crossing up over there, but I definitely want the cathedral spires on this. And usually I go all the way to Judy Gaskill. So let's say this is burn north. I don't know if this is what it'll be, but here it is. Burn north. Okay. I want this to be a geospatial PDF. I don't care about my scale, but I want this to be 400 DPI, which means it's going to take a long time to load. Here's my datum down here. I usually use the NAD. It's just more accurate, and they've updated it. My icon size, do I want it to be 2 times? No, I want it to keep it one time, so they'll appear that way. I don't care about any of this other shit, but I will add UTM. And it is $1K. UTM at 1 kilometer. Yeah, let's do that. Okay, then I'm going to click Generate PDF. Here we go. It's being processed. I'm going to let it process, and I'm going to talk to you. I hope this was helpful. This is the end of this tutorial, and I hope that you see how powerful a tool that this is. An hour and a half. It's long. There's a lot there. But my hope is that you learned a lot and how you can make your own map for Niwots, however detailed you want it to be. I'm going to do my best to provide you with maps that are going to be good enough for you to navigate this course. Maybe you want to zoom in closer to an area. Maybe in your map bag, you want to have maps that are super detailed between each waypoint, or every two waypoints or 3 waypoints. This is a way for you to be able to make your custom maps of whatever scale, of whatever size, so that you can navigate this course expertly. It is work. It's a little bit of effort. The information is out there already. If you get on the hub, if you get in the official group page on the hub, you start gathering all the information. It will allow you to make these maps ahead of time and adjust as needed. Once I showed you how to make adjustments, you can adjust the map that you've been working on for the next few weeks in the final days leading up to the event, and showed up prepared with all of these maps printed out. So it just finished. So let me pull this up. Here you go. I want to zoom in because this is crazy small. We're on the Mercator projection, UTM zone 135. From UTM line to UTM line is 0.62 miles. So this is 0.62 miles. That's why I like having the UTM grid. It's 0.62 in between each UTM as the crow flies. It's good information to have. You've got your scale, We've got a QR code so that you can scan this with your phone and it'll show up in the app. But again, that's not for you. Pay attention. Down here is your compass on your map. It's telling us, the star is telling us that our map is true north, and mag is 7.6. So you want to adjust your compass and orient your map accordingly. If you don't know how to do that, you don't know what I'm talking about, you should reach out. Reach out for a lesson about that. But here's my map, and I can just click print. And again, like, my map is busy with all of these titles on here. I could just go back to my map and turn those off, or I can delete them. I know what it is. Maybe I'm just going to handwrite it with pencil, smaller. I don't know. You can customize. Do whatever you want. But this is what I'm printing, and I'll make as however many of these that I need to bring so that I can navigate this course. I'm going to make sure the line's on there. I'm going to make sure maybe there's a buffer, other waypoints, points of interest, things that I need. I think that's been up long enough, hasn't it? I hope this was helpful, friends. And I hope that you'll use this tool and use it wisely to help you in your preparation of our event. Thank you so much for being a part of the Niwots community. We love you all. We can't wait to see what you're going to do out there. There's lots of tools that can help you get there. Don't be afraid to ask. For Human Potential and the Niwots Challenge, on behalf of the Tribal Council, thank you so much, everybody. I speak for the trees.